My name is Josh. I'm going to be your pilot today. We're off up to the London Bridge and the Bay of Islands. So it's about 25 minutes or so. So once you go in just a moment, you're more than welcome to talk to each other and to me if you like. Just hold the microphone nice and close to your mouth and you'll be able to chat to each other quite easily. And if you have any questions, obviously feel free to ask. Alright, off we go. As we do, fly one up and cross the coastline. 5 rock stacks on the left hand side, another 2 on the right. So these are apostles. So number 6 and number 7 apostle just here on our right hand side. And we have a little cluster of 3 of them closer together. And those 3 there, they're not technically apostles. The first 2 are called the twin sisters. The one behind that is the salt and pepper shakers. And then we have the razorback ridge as well. So razorback ridge is the little ridge on the right hand side there. So on our right hand side, this headband second tree is called Broken Head. If you are a bit warm, folks, there's air conditioning here. You can turn around and face yourself if you want. There we go, and you can adjust it however you like. So the island on our right is the baker's oven. It's got the cave that goes all the way through the bottom there, and the early sailors used to use it as a bit of a waypoint to know where they were along the coastline. And up ahead of us, the big tall rock stack is known as Sentinel Rock. It's the tallest rock stack in the area. It's about 70 metres tall, so roughly the same height as a 20-storey apartment building. So yeah, big tall one there. You can also see the cars driving along the cliff. It's always a good way to give you an idea of size and scale. Just up ahead of us, the big archway there. That's the largest archway in the area that we're going to see today by far. It's a bit deceiving. When we get closer, you'll see there's some big rocks down the bottom. Each one of those rocks is actually roughly the same size as your standard car. So it gives you a bit of an idea of size and scale, and the cliffs as well. As we come around the corner here, the island on the right-hand side is the London Bridge. It used to be joined to the mainland up until about 1990, and that's when the bridge that joined the two collapsed. So this island here is what's now known as the London Bridge. So a little town on our right-hand side just coming up here is called Peterborough. It's about 120 people who live in Peterborough permanently, so it's a very small town. Most of the houses you're looking at are family holiday homes, so it's a little different to Port Campbell. The majority of the, if you like, the visitors to the area tend to be families from the local area. They come down here weekends like this weekend, so Easter weekend's a really popular one. It's kind of the last hurrah before it's winter, and it gets a bit of a ghost town for winter. And then comes summer again, and the school holidays, it really livens up again. So, cool little town, awesome beach. The beach is a lot bigger than it normally is at the moment, because there's usually a river coming out from that lake. So the few storms we've had recently have kind of blocked it up, filled it up with sand, and I'll have to wait until either a storm comes through and washes it away, or they'll bring in diggers and artificially remove the sand. Because if they don't, that lake will fill up, start flooding all the farmland, the car parks, everything up belly of it, or upstream of it. It's not exactly steep walls, so it only just has to break the banks, and suddenly it, triples in size or so. So we've entered what's called the Bay of Martyrs at the moment. So these two beaches on our right-hand side, one and the little one, just up ahead of us a bit more. That's the Bay of, the first one's the Bay of Martyrs, officially this one here, the small one. It's called Massacre Bay. And then Cross Bay is up ahead of us here. So the Bay of Islands, the collection of islands that we can see, there's 24 in total. Used to be, eventually they all would have been at some point joined to the mainland. What happened was basically the coast gets eaten away. So the sea is slowly eaten away at the softer rock. It eats away at all the rock, but the softer stuff disappears faster than the slightly harder rock, and as such we get these amazing rock formations being left out at sea. And they provide a really good little breeding habitat for all the local seabirds, so no predators, no foxes, dogs, that sort of stuff. Cats can get them. They're left on their own. They also get these, a lot of them have these little like tunnels and caves, which are quite small, but pretty nice dry homes for a lot of birds.
whales along the coast in the season?
We do get a few whales, yeah. June to September is the time the whales come through. They're surprisingly accurate with their timing, but yeah, we tend to not see them outside of those. Every now and then you do, but it's quite unusual. Alright, we'll climb on up and spin around and we'll see it again in just a moment. So a little headland of rock sticking out, coming up on our left-hand side. That one there is called Point Hallidale. It's named after the ship that ran aground there in 1908. So she ran aground. It wasn't actually directly on the point. It was about, you can see where the waves are starting to break out here right off the point. It's down there, I think it was 10 metres of water or so, and apparently there are still pieces of her, some big steel beams that were, or arches that were in her hull that have been left over. This area here, if you're wondering, is notorious for shipwrecks. There's been quite a number of them. I think on the Great Ocean Road there's been about 130 ships run aground and sink. The distance of coastline on the ocean road is about 180 kilometres worth, so certainly not a savoury place to sail a wooden ship. There's been, I think, about 640 along the coast of Victoria, and they know of the location of 240 of those. So there are quite a few unknowns. It's not to say that they were all on the coast. They might have just been out of sea, and they, there's numerous reasons why boats sink out of sea, whether it's storms or they run into a whale. That's still a common one that does happen. So, now, this reef here is the Schomberg, again named after the ship that ran aground there. That was 1855, so a little earlier, and I believe her hull was all wooden, because I haven't heard anybody talk about any remaining pieces. And it is very good snorkeling around here, so I imagine people would know about it. But both of those shipwrecks everyone survived, which again is quite unusual. Most of the shipwrecks resulted in a lot of deaths, one being rough weather, and two, in a lot of places the cliffs don't really enable people to get out of the water. So you've got shipwrecked in the wrong spot, and it's a pretty rugged place to try and get yourself out of the water. So the car park on the left-hand side, you can see there's a walking track down to the coastline. That's called the Grotto. That one is signposted. The three main ones that are signposted here are the Grotto, the London Bridge up on our left-hand side just off the beach, and then a little bit further along is the archway. That's that giant archway I pointed out. So those three are signposted. Most of the other spots tend not to get a big mention, and so it can be quite tricky to find. the London Bridge, the island actually used to be joined to the mainland, so there is the archway through the middle. It's getting pretty wild and turbulent in there at the moment, but when it was joined you could walk across onto the island. It was quite wide and comfortable. I've heard stories of locals saying they used to ride their motorbikes out there. So, that collapsed 30 years ago, and when it did leave 2 tourists on the island. I'm stuck there for a decent length of time.
Days you guys can't fly because of the weather down there?
No, there's not many. Yeah, the weather around here it is quite wild, but because of that, it often passes through quite quickly. So there definitely are regular times where we can't fly, right now. But usually give it 15-20 minutes an hour, and it comes right. I think this year's been I've seen the most days where we haven't flown at all through fog. And that's an interesting one because the reason down here we don't get a lot of fog, we have a lot of wind, and so wind tends to push it away and cause you don't actually get the fog building up. But this year the sea temperature has been one of the warmest we've seen in a long time, so 20 degrees, which is unheard of for down here. I mean, it's the Southern Ocean and Antarctica right down there, and the 20 degrees, so the warm water means that you got lots of warm moist air sitting here, and then in the mornings when it's quite cold over the land, basically all of this just condenses, and you're sitting in fog right on the coastline. So, had a number of days where all day we haven't flown this year just because of the sea fog coming in. So, a little town on the left is Port Campbell, established in 1865 as a fishing village. Nowadays more of a tourist town than anything else. Initially the fishing down in this part of the world was for hunting whales. They were definitely actively pursuing them. The southern right whales were their main target species, and partly because they're very friendly. So they'll come right in close to shore, they'll come right up to a boat, and from what I understand, if you go diving with them, the marine biologists and whatnot who do a lot of research on them, they say the biggest danger with diving around southern right whales is being crushed by them. So if they come up next to you and you're near the bottom or near a rock, they can crush you quite easily. So. Just on the left-hand side, the island that looks like a question mark or a seahorse, that's called Muttonbird Island. It's home to about 50,000 muttonbirds during our summer. They've all left now, or the babies will probably just be leaving. And that's also where the ship, the Lockhart, ran aground. The 2 survivors from that shipwreck ended up on the sandy beach at the back. There were 54 on board, so that's a much more common story. Basically, the 2 that survived were the lucky ones who got swept into a sandy beach where they could get out of the water into safety. So the Apostle's coming up on our left. Number 1 has the flat green top. Number 2, pointy top. And then you got numbers 3, 4, 5 and 6 all quite close together. So number 6 is the short little one. Number 7 is the last one before the headland. And then the broken rocks, so you can see right on the edge of the beach there, that's what remains of number 8. It fell down in 2005. Officially, they say the Apostles finish at this headland and these last 2 get called Gog and Magog, so technically not Apostles. But if you count them in, plus the 3 at the other end I mentioned, Twin Sisters and the Salt Pepper Shakers, you do get to 12. So a lot of people do end up counting them in. We'll come around to the left and get a good photo looking out the left-hand side. So as you do come on into land, just stay seated. The ground staff will come and open the doors, and once they do, you're welcome to climb on out of the helicopter. Thanks very much for flying with us. Hope you've enjoyed your flight and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
No worries, you're welcome. Thanks very much, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you later.